Today, I'm going to show you how to make this warm fall painting that makes it look like you're walking through an autumn path. Alrighty, the tools we'll be using today are the 2-inch brush, the fan brush, that's the bigger fan brush, the 1-inch brush, the oval brush I'll be using for leaves because I like the effect you get with that brush. I'll be using the smaller painting knife. I'll probably be using the bigger one to mix, but I prefer painting with a smaller knife. And then also the script liner as well. So then I'll show you what I have for my paints. All right, nice fall colors here. So we have yellow ochre, Van Dyke brown, sienna, alizarin crimson, bright red, and cad yellow. And then we also have our titanium white there. And since this is a black canvas, we're going to be using liquid clear. Now the canvas I'm using for this one, it's 12 by 24. So it's a little different, long skinny kind of thing. It's what you could do with this, and I've been wanting to do, maybe I'll do that in another video, is put the same size canvas on either side and extend the scene and make a triptych. So that'll be that'll be a future episode. All right, just want to make sure it's nice and secure there. All right. So what I'm going to do, so I'll go ahead and take my liquid clear here, and I'm going to take the 2-inch brush and just dip it into the liquid clear. Just need a little bit. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap it all over here. So the reason I'm tapping in all different spots here is just to get a nice even distribution. And then I'm going to go back in and crisscross and swirl that in. Some of these bigger canvases, you'll notice they have this stretcher bar in the middle. So you might have to watch out for that. You can spray the back with water and let that dry, and that will help to kind of tighten it a bit. And you can do that before or after the painting. That's not a big deal. Or if you find it's not taut enough while you're painting, you can always kind of like hold it like this. I've also heard of people taking cardboard and putting cardboard behind that stretcher bar as they're painting. So there's a couple things you can do there. So you can see I'm really grinding this in and swirling this in here. Got a couple hairs here, so I'm just gonna pop those out just with the corner of my brush there. And then I'll wipe off my brush with paper towel. And that's what we'll be using to clean our brushes between colors and everything too. It's just a paper towel. You don't really want to clean your bigger brushes with paint thinner until you're completely done with the painting, because if you get paint thinner up in here, yeah, it'll ruin your painting in a heartbeat. I need a tiny bit more up there, so I'm just going to dip just the corner. Here we go. Just the corner of my brush into that. Now with the liquid clear, you want this coat to be as thin as you can possibly get it. The way to test for that is basically you just want to take your finger and kind of like snap it back like that. And if you hear that snap, so the canvas should snap back. I'm going to wipe off my brush. And then I'm going to go back in one more time with the brush wiped out to kind of sop up any excess liquid clear there. Okay, so that's good. And we won't need this liquid clear anymore, so we can put that away. So I'll put that aside. All right, so since it's kind of like deep in the woods, we're gonna have this kind of glow emanating from the center. So for that color, let's give my brush a little twirl there. I'm going to make that sky color with yellow ochre and white. So I'm going to use, I'll use the big knife for mixing. And we just kind of want like this like golden sky color. So I got a little bit of white, got some yellow ochre, more white. There we go. So it makes you just want to like lift it up, flop it over. And it's personal preference whether you want it lighter, darker, or you don't have to use yellow ochre too. You can do like a blue sky, green sky. Doesn't really matter. It's deep in the woods, so I just like to have. I kind of like monochromatic paintings where they're all kind of analogous colors. So I just want like a nice fall palette. See, that's good. And like nice little like peachy color like that. Maybe a little more white. Little more white. A little more. Oh, I'm getting messy now there. I'm getting messy already. There we go. That's good. Just some sort of nice peachy kind of color. Oh, pink would look good too. Well, that would be fun. See, that's what I love is whenever you're doing a painting like this, it kind of leads to your next painting. You do one and you're like, oh, what if I did this? Or you mix a color you didn't intend to mix and you're like, ooh, I want to use that for this, or I want to do this for like a winter painting. So just all sorts of things you can do there. Just gonna wipe off my knife and my handle. Apparently that's what's getting me all messy there. All right. Okay. So I'm going to go back in with my 2-inch brush here. And I am just going to tap a little bit of that color in. There we go. So the reason I'm tapping there is you want the color to be evenly distributed like that. You don't want any clumps. Because then if there's clumps on your brush, then it won't spread evenly up here. So I'm going to start kind of like, kind of in the middle. I'm not going to do as much on the bottom part because the bottom part's going to have like a little pathway. So I'm going to start like right about here. And I'm just going to start in the middle. I'm going to do this little crisscross motion. And I'm going to do this crisscross motion and kind of spread from the center out. So I'll show you what I mean here. So it'll be brightest in the middle. And then darker way at the top and the edges. Get a little down here too. And I'm going to do here is I'm going to wipe off this brush. So what I want to do is I think I have enough color on there. I just want to blend out what I already have. So just wipe off your brush real good. Get as much paint off as you can. So I'll do back and forth, kind of doing that with my thumb. And then do that little circular motion in the palm of my hand there to get it nice and clean. You can also do that with shop towel or like a really old towel that you don't use anymore. Okay, just gonna go back in here. And I'm just going to blend out thumb's starting to hurt, and that's a good thing. It means you're doing it right. Wipe that out a little more. And I'm going to go back in. I'm going to smooth out this area in the middle here because you can kind of see my brush strokes. You don't have to smooth it out as much as I am, but that's a personal preference thing. And I'm just doing that same crisscrossy motion. Okay. I'll wipe out one more time and just kind of blend the darkest areas here. Nice and dark up there. Keep it nice and dark here. That's where the path will be. All right, so now we have our background color, which is like I said, kind of like the sky coming through the deep forest here. Okay, so now, what I want to do is I want to put in some like really distant trees, and these are going to be like very faint. So I want this to be just slightly darker than this tone that we have up here. So I'm going to take my big knife, mix again, and I'm going to take a little bit of Van Dyke Brown, a little bit of the sienna, and then mix it into a little bit of this, and we're going to need it way lighter than that. Okay. I think that's pretty good there. Maybe a little darker. I think that looks good. Okay. That'll be good. I'm gonna wipe off my knife again here. And then what I'm gonna do is gonna take my fan brush here. I'm gonna wiggle it into this color. And just kind of drag it one direction, both sides, just to kind of chisel it to make it nice and chiseled there. Okay. I'm gonna start, let's start over here. I'm gonna have these trunks go all the way to the top. So I'm gonna start over here and I'm gonna push a little harder as I get towards the ground there. I think I'm gonna go a little bit darker. Okay, let's go right next door. Gotta make the sounds. A little lighter. I'm just gonna variate. Just gonna variate there. Put another friend over here. And remember, these are just background trees, so they don't have to be perfect or anything. Just make sure they don't come down enough there. Let's put another one on this side. Darker one over here. See, I'm pressing my hand down lighter on that one, just to get it a little more faint. I think I'm going to do the same over here. Get a nice fainter one. And however many you want to put in is totally up to you. Do a couple more towards the center here. See, I didn't put any more paint on here because I want these ones to be really, really, really subtle, really, really faint. There we go. Now it looks like you're walking into the woods. Another variation you can do on this is to do these background trees in black or gray gesso as an underpainting. So just a different way you can achieve that look. I'm gonna put one more over here. There. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and wipe that brush out. I'm just going to extend these a little bit just because I don't know where they're going to end. I'm just kind of bringing them far down here. This would be a cool way to do a marshy painting too. As I'm painting the foots here, it reminds me of something like the cypress trees. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and put a couple branches on these guys. So for that, and keep them real thin, so use your script liner. So I'm going to dip my script liner into a little bit of paint thinner. Now you want to be careful here with the paint thinner because like I said earlier, you know, if you clean your brushes in the paint thinner and bring your paint thinner up to the canvas, it can ruin your painting, especially if you're working with liquid clear, because liquid clear and paint thinner have a violent reaction. They kind of separate like oil and vinegar or oil and water. Yeah, so it has that kind of effect. So if you have too much paint thinner, you'll see that happen on your canvas. It is a cool effect. But just know, like, if that happens, then okay, you just got to work with it. But that is a thing. So what I'm doing here to load it is I'm just spinning the script liner in between my fingers there to make it come to a point. All right, and I'm just going to go up to a couple of these. I'm going to have like kind of hangy down branches here. So I'm going to go up here and just kind of fork them out. And this is where, as Bob would say, if you have a shaky hand, it'll pay you great dividends. And this is that's me. That's me to a T. I have a very shaky hand, so this is one of the times I get to utilize it. I'm going to go in and do these closer ones first here. let's go into that darker brown. Or you can even use the script liner to do these really, really faint trunks there. And again, making the sounds does help. And don't be afraid to let your branches cross over one another and over other trees, because that's how it would be in nature, you know. And layering is key to making your painting have depth. Let's reload here. You know, some of these branches ought to come out towards the middle or not. Totally up to you. Okay. This guy over here needs some. I'll just fork them out. Okay, a few more lighter ones. A little more paint thinner to make that flow a bit. You see me on my tippy toes because, like I said, this is a 12 by 24, so to get way up here, I'm on my tippy toes. Reload. And again, you can put as many of these little branches on as you want. Or you can make your branches go up. I'm having hanging down branches. You can have them go up. But like I said, don't be afraid to crisscross. Reload. Like Bob would always say, like, you have unlimited time when you're at home. Well, not unlimited, but more than the 26 minutes he had. Okay, one more. This guy over here. A little more paint thinner. As you're working with the paint thinner will dry on you, so gotta watch out for that too. Okay, I think I'm pretty happy with that. Maybe just maybe. Maybe just maybe. There we go. So I was talking about earlier, just put the faint indication Some of those really distant trees there. See, the small brushes you can clean the paint thinner now. That's no problem there. Oh, see, I'm starting to get that reaction a little bit there with the paint thinner. That's okay. They'll just give you like ghost trees. But if it really bothers you, you can always take a brush and blend it in. So either way, just up to you. It's total preference. Okay, that's pretty good there. All right, so now we got our background trees up there. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put in some background foliage, some background leaves here. So for that, I am going to take, let's see. I want it to be about the same tone as what I have on right now, but have a little more sienna, a little warmer. I think that'll be good. And I might go back and forth between this color and the color I made here. Borrow a little bit of that. All right, something like that. All right, I'll wipe off my knife there. Okay, so for the leaves, you can either use the corner of your 1-inch brush or even the corner of your 2-inch brush, or you can use this oval brush, and I'll show you what that looks like. It's pretty cool. So I'm not going to use the corner of it. I'm going to use, well, I'm going to use it sideways. I'll show you here how to load it. So what you want to do is kind of drop your brush or drop the handle so it's pointing towards the ground, and you want to tap it like that. We see that fuzzy texture that happens when you're tapping it. That's what you want to see there. That's what you want to see. Okay, so let's go ahead and test that and see how that comes out. So I'm gonna, it's a little light. I'm gonna put a little more brown in there. Tap into a little bit of that sienna as well. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So I'll go back and forth with those colors now. But again, this is just very light, very subtle. lighter over here in this area where it's a little darker. But see, I'm tapping it the same way I loaded it, where I have the handle pointed towards the ground and I'm holding it horizontally like that. But it kind of just makes this natural arc-like shape. Just touching up and making some a little darker. Just to kind of variate. Okay. I'm just tapping those ones a little more and make them a little softer. Same with those. Okay, now, so we've got all that down. I'm going to go ahead and wipe off that brush, and I'm going to use that same color and just make really, really, really distant bushes. You can kind of almost see the trail is kind of almost forming already there. So, for the background bushes, like I said, like the same colors. But for this, for the bushes, I'm going to use the corner of my 1-inch brush here. But loading the same way, handle pointing towards the ground, and just tapping just the corner. Just the corner. You don't need a whole lot of paint either, especially when you're doing like the distant background stuff. So I'm just kind of tapping into making like a circular kind of bush there. I'm going to get into the darker color, and then the same thing here. Just kind of rounding out a bush there. So I'm just painting right over these tree trunks there. Some distant bushes over here, here. And again, I'm kind of like keeping in mind where I want my trail going there. Okay, I think that's good for that. Okay, so basically done with background, middle ground. What I think I will do, no, I'm going to keep those there. I like that tone there. Okay, yeah. So now I'm going to wipe off that 1-inch brush, and we're just going to keep coming forward. That's what it is. Basically, start the furthest thing and then make your way forward. Actually, since we were talking about the path, let's go ahead and do that path here. So I'm going to, let's see here. Yeah, I'll just use kind of these same colors here. There we go. And I'm just going to kind of flatten it out there, but I'm going to keep it marbledy. And then I'm going to take the knife, I'm going to hold it like perpendicular to the palette here, and I'm just going to just slice off a roll. a little roll of paint. And then for the path, I'm going to start it like over here. And I'm just going to kind of just very lightly, kind of like a sawing motion, but it's very, very, very light. See, I'm just like wiggling my knife back and forth here. Just like that. I'm gonna get some darker color in there. A little bit of the sienna and Van Dyke. Just give it a little more depth. But you see that texture that's happening. That's what's cool. And you can always, you know, play with your path, put it in here, and then you can kind of cinch up the path with bushes. That's what we'll be doing later. I'm like going over these tree trunks now, but they won't be there. We'll have overhang. But now you can see why I kept the bottom so dark. Because you want the stuff that's closest to the viewer to be the most contrasty. Put a little lighter up there again. And mix up darker and lighter. Down here for the path. This will give you a lot of good practice with the knife. Okay, so that's looking good there. And if you want to soften it, you can always go back and just go over it very lightly with either like a 1-inch brush or 2-inch brush or even the fan brush. You can even do this effect with a fan brush. It just looks a little different. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put in some more bushes to kind of like cinch in the path like I was talking about there. So I'm going to grab, let's see, I think I'm going to use, I'm going to use this extra leftover Van Dyke and sienna, get a little more sienna. There we go. Okay. And I'm gonna load the brush like I did with these bushes here, just tapping just the corner. And handle pointing towards the ground. And I'm just going to put in, so this is going to be the dark base of these bushes. These will be creeping in on the path here. And it's covering up the bottom of those trees there with these. So kind of creeping in on the path there. kind of shape it how you want there. And I'm going to wipe off that brush. And then I'm going to go ahead and highlight those. If you want, before you highlight, you can take your knife and scrape out little sticks. Maybe I'll do that over here too. I still had some of the dark brown on there, so kind of made dark brown sticks. That's kind of cool. There's your happy accident for today. All right, wipe off that knife. And I'm going to wipe off my 1-inch brush here. And then I got to decide what color I want to highlight those bushes. I think I want orangey color. So I'm going to wipe off my big knife and mix a nice orangey color. So yeah, let's go. Let's put aside some yellow, get a tiny bit of red because the red is strong, very strong. I might even, yeah, I'm gonna take a little of that. Yellow ochre, throw some crimson in there. Yeah, that's a cool color. Maybe mix that into here too. That's a neat color. It's a bunch of fun fall colors. Okay, wipe that knife off. Right, let's use this one. So for highlighting the bushes, fun technique I like to do here is hold your brush perpendicular to the palette, or if you have it on your table, it'd be like this. So you're going to drag and pull up. So I'll show you that motion. You can drag, pull up, drag, pull up, drag, pull up, drag, pull up, drag, pull up. So you should be seeing those little peaks there. If you've seen the peaks there, then you'll see them on your brush. So that's the key. And then to highlight, this might be a little too dark. So you know what? I'm actually going to test it out on these guys back here. Actually, I like that. Yeah, I do like that. Just a nice little subtle highlight. Let's do the other one. And then when you're highlighting, you want to pretend like rock around the clock. So like 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock. And you're just using that very top corner that you loaded. All right, I'm not even going to clean the brush. I'm just going to go straight into this yellowy mix that we made here. I'm going to drag, pull up, drag, pull up, drag, pull up. So same thing. And then I'm going to flip my brush because that rounded, when it was dragging, it kind of rounds that corner. So I'm going to use that corner for the highlighting. So I'm going to go, again, 1 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock. You might want to reload. If the paint doesn't come off easily like that, you might have to put a little liquid white in there to kind of make it more creamy. So basically, a creamy texture paint will stick to a thicker paint. So you'll find if you're using the Bob Ross paints, they actually formulate the darker colors to be thicker, drier, to make it easier to put the highlight colors on. So you'll notice like the bright red, the cad yellow, the consistency is a lot creamier, and that's they do that on purpose. They do that on purpose. Same thing on this one. Excuse me. I'll put a little more yellow in. Okay. Yeah, I want a little brighter in that one spot there. There. Okay, that's pretty good there. Like I said, it should come off real easily. So the key to highlights is a lot of paint and the consistency, that creamy consistency. All right, so now we got some bushes in there. Now we're gonna ruin the bushes. I know. We're gonna put a couple more trees, just closer trees. Now, since we're working on what's going to be the closest things to us, we want the darkest colors. So basically straight Van Dyke brown and sienna here. I think, yep, that is good. All right. So I'm going to use the fan brush for this. Just wipe it off real good there. Okay. And just like we did before, I'll load it like that. Just wiggle both sides in. Drag both sides one direction. Okay. And you don't have to put your tree trunks where I'm putting them. You don't have to put them in at all, actually. But I'm going to, let's see. I want them to be kind of like, not exactly on the edge, but almost on the edge. So I think this guy I'm going to have go like this. So I am going to go through my bush there. There we go. Wipe that off. I collected some of that bush color. I'm going to make my tree a bit thicker as well. Wipe that off again. And I think a little thicker. I'm just kind of spreading down for its foots there, but I'm going to have grass there. Actually, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, let's put a little grass here before I put the tree. So I'm going to take the 1-inch brush, hold it horizontally like this, and again, handle pointed towards the bottom to get a little bit of that dark color there. And again, holding it horizontal, I'm just going to tap in some grass there. Just a little grass creeping up on the path there. Actually, yeah, let's do that. I should have done it before the before the tree. That's okay. we can redo the tree. It's not a problem because we haven't highlighted it yet. So, okay, that's good. Let's get our grass in there. All right, so for the grass, I think I want more yellow ochre. I think I want that. I'll wipe off my brush there. And let's grab, oh, let's see. Yeah, let's grab some more yellow ochre. It doesn't matter how big a palette I get, I will always use all of it. And the way I'm going to load it is the same as before, just kind of loading the edge there. I might need some liquid white. Let's put a little bit of yellow in there. And then we'll see here. There we go. Okay. All right, let's take a gander. So again, holding it horizontally, handle angled towards the ground. You want to tap very, very lightly and it should come off pretty easily. See, it's not coming off so easily, so we're going to put on some liquid white. Okay. For the liquid white, just need a little bit, so I'm just going to dip the corner of my brush, boop, into there. This side. Okay. And I'm going to tap it into the paint there. There we go. We're starting to get those peaks back there. I think I got too much paint in here because it's not giving me the peaks. So let's go ahead and wipe out the paint. And reload it. That I was talking about earlier at the beginning, you don't want it to be gunked up like that. Because if you're not seeing that texture, you won't see the texture on the canvas. I'll borrow a little bit over here, and then go over here. Okay, there we go. So now we're getting that texture again. We're getting those little peaks. So let's go back in. There we go. See, now it's coming off so much easier. And you see it's very, very, very light. Very, very light touch here. So we're basically just kind of like tapping in these little lines. I'm going to go over to the other side here. I'm going to change up the color a little bit, get a little more that yellowy kind of orangey color. There we go. Go the other side. And you don't have to do it in yellow ochre, you can do green or what have you. Or you can put snow on the ground. Ooh, that'd be fun. And I'll have the brightest highlights closest to us there. And back over here. So you see me flipping my brush around, I'll have one side of the brush for the more concentrated paint, and then sometimes the other side will have less paint. So I'll use that as like a blending side. Here, that's my highlight side there. Now the highlight side is the blending side. Okay. Okay, step back, kind of see how that's going. I think maybe just a little more on this side. Just cinch up the path there just a little. Yeah, maybe a little more. Of course, everybody's path is going to be different shape and everything, so. The basic rule you want to go by with whether it's a path or a river, you could put a river there, you want it to be smaller the further away it is towards you. And then as it gets closer to you, you want that to get wider. So that's like a forced perspective thing. So when it looks smaller up here, that just it looks like it's receding into the background. Okay. So now that we have that, let's re-put in the end of our tree, big old tree. So I'll switch back to the fan brush there, and I'll just re-put those foots in there. There we go. And if you want, you can go back and put more grass on top of the tree roots there. Okay. All right, I'm going to reload and put another big old tree on the other side. Okay, let's do, what's right here? And if you make it wiggledy like that, it's fine. Just, you know, go back, make it thicker. Not a biggie. And we'll cut right through. Let's wipe off the paint that you dragged. And again, same with tree trunks, they're going to be thicker at the bottom than they are at the top. So just make sure they're thicker at the bottom and you'll be good. Oh, that one kind of got away from me. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make another tree. Let's give him a friend. Needs to be a little thicker at the bottom there. There we go. roots will be coming out the path there. Or maybe it's just one really thick one. It's just one really thick one. So on that note, I think this guy needs to be a little thicker up top. And then maybe he'll have a friend. Yeah, we'll give him a friend. Things seem to look better in odd numbers, so we'll put a friend right over here somewhere. Let's see. Maybe about here. There we go. Just a little further out. Okay, let's go back in and thicken him up a bit. Okay. That's pretty good. A little thicker at the top. A little bit. All right, so now this one needs some branches too. So let's go ahead and we'll wipe out fan brush there. And I'll go back to my script liner. And again, get a little bit of paint thinner. We're gonna go with that same dark color. And like before, just kind of like twirl it around in your hand there to make it nice and pointy. And then these branches are gonna be bigger because these trees are bigger and closer to us, so. And then we'll have to give them leaves as well. And you can make them come out as far as you want there. They don't have to come out all the way as far as I'm doing. And I got these a little too matchy. Let's break it up a little here. Another one up here. Okay, let's move on to other trees here. Again, don't be afraid to cross over. A little paint thinner. Branch out. Got bare branches, so they're branching out. Okay, I think that's pretty good there. So before we put in our leaves, wash that again there. I'm going to highlight the trunks. And I'm just going to use, I'm going to get a little more sienna here. I'll use the big knife just because these are big old trees here. Grab a sienna, some of this highlight color. Just kind of mix that all up. Leave it kind of marbledy. And flatten that out. There we go. And then we're just gonna do like we did before, just kind of cut over, cut across. That was a little much. Let me try again. There we go. And then for highlighting the trees, now see, I cut it so that it's loaded on this side. Let me cut again. It's a little messy there. There we go. Oop. A little more. That's better. Nice little roll of paint. So what I'm going to do to highlight is just touch. So I'm touching the right side because I'm kind of imagining like the sun is kind of shining through the trees there. Reload. But as I'm going to touch further into the tree, I'm going to have less and less paint. And so when we have less and less paint, it's going to have like this gradual effect. So it looks like it's just going to kind of be rounded. You can see how it's getting darker on the other side there. And the cool thing about this is that it will dry with this texture. So it's really neat. Cut more. If you want to get the foots, you might have to go a little into the small part of the knife there. Borrow a little from this side, touch over here. You can touch a little bit on the other side too if you want. Let's go more down here. Okay. I'm going to highlight the other trees, but I'm going to load the other side of the knife since I'm going to highlight the left side this time. But same color. See, now it's on the other side of the knife there. Or you can change this up and you can make it birch trees. That would be really cool. Like a whole forest of birch trees. I love how that looks. See? Another idea coming. That's how it happens. Birch trees are my favorite trees. Let's get a little down here in the foots there. And you don't have to highlight with the same color. You can highlight with more red in there, or yellow ochre. Okay, I think that's good for that one. And one last one here. Maybe I'll make this highlights on this one a little darker. I don't know. Let's see. Let's see what happens. See what happens. Just a little bit. So you're just tapping, just tapping. A little more. Oh, that one stuck a little bit. That's okay. If it gets too bright on you, just go over it and just tap over it again. That's the wonderful thing about oils. You can blend away so many things. And acrylic, ooh, it'd be dry already. A lot less time to work with things. And you'll see like the angle I'm holding this at, it's like less than 45 degrees. And a little bit down here at the foots. So just putting like a little bit of light down there. Looks like it's where that root is forming. just a little bit. That one's behind, so it's a little darker. As long as you have that dark part in the recessed area, then it'll look right. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm liking how that looks there. And then all we have to do left is put in our leaves. So first, like we did with the bushes, we're going to put in the dark of the leaves first. So think of that as like kind of like the underside of the leaves. And the leaves are so dense, it makes that dark area. So we're going to do like we did before, handle pointed towards the ground. Use the last bit of sienna in there. And again, you can use the oval, you can use the 1-inch brush. The 1-inch brush, you would treat the leaves exactly how we did the bushes, just make it like little clumps. And then we're just going to put leaves in. So when you're doing this, be very aware of the shape your leaves are making. You don't want it to look like fingers coming from both sides. You want it to look like Nick Hankins, teacher trainer Nick Hankins always says, think of Italy, like the shape of Italy. You want it to be kind of like irregular like that. Although Italy's kind of like a boot, but but you see how what he means, where it's like irregular and it's not like samey. Put a couple down here. Make that one a little darker. The darker the base is, the more your highlight will stand out. Okay, so now, since we're going to use that same brush for the highlights, I'm going to wipe out that brush as best you can. Then, now we're going to have fun with colors, with highlighting. All right, might need more liquid white, so I'll have that handy. And I think I'm going to start with, let's see, yeah, like a yellowish. So I'm just gonna use all this leftover yellow. So it's got yellow, cad yellow, yellow ochre, a little bit of crimson in there. Yeah, that's good. Then I can always go next door and borrow more yellow if I want. So I'll try that first, and if it's not coming off easy, then I'll put more liquid white in. All right, so again, oval brush. Just wiped out as good as you can. I hardly ever use yellow straight because it's just too bright, you know. It just looks unnatural. So you just load it the same way. getting our little peaks in there, so it looks so far so good. And let's kind of start up here. That's good. So I'll start with this color and then go into some more reddish tones. And again, you'll have to reload frequently because as you're tapping, you're kind of blending into the background here. Throw a little more yellow in there. Again, tapping very lightly, especially in these like top areas. I don't want these top areas to be too bright because I want to kind of bring the viewer's eye towards the middle. So let's grab, let's see, let's throw some red in there. Woo, bright. I think that'll be good. Let's try it. Ooh, that's pretty. I'll put a little of that orange up here too. So I'm just getting gradually more red. See, now I have a multitude of those fall colors on there. Some red down there. Some more orangey, some ochre. All the fall colors. Let's see how I'm varying it. Let's go back a little more red. The final leaves there. Some of that red. That's the bright red too. And then maybe a couple touches more of red. Maybe right here. Just to get some sparklers in there. Just a couple. Okay, I think with that we have a nice little painting there. But of course you don't have to do this on 12 by 24. I just think it looks cool with the super long trees and everything. And of course you can change this to, you know, any season that you want. You can do, I would love to do a winter one, or like I was saying earlier, you could do a triptych and have another canvas here, another canvas here, and then just extend the scene. You just wouldn't have this, you know, this area in the middle wouldn't be, you know, it wouldn't extend that far. It would just be basically this tone on the other sides. But that would be really cool. And then just, yeah, have a path in the middle, and then maybe these ones wouldn't have the path, and just have extended with grass. But there's so many ideas and so many things you can do with this. It's all up to you. It's all up to you. All right. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today and painting, and tell me what you did. Tell me if you did a different size, use different colors. I want to know. Oh, and if you like this tutorial, go ahead and like and subscribe, because then you'll be alerted as soon as I release a new tutorial, and then we can paint again. Alrighty, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.